So, hi everyone, and welcome on our session around managed cloud PCs and virtual desktops. I'm very pleased to be here at this great Microsoft Ignite hybrid event as well. So, wherever you're joining from, whether it's on the physical floor in Seattle or Manchester and any of the other locations that we currently have happening today as a Microsoft Ignite event, I'm very pleased to welcome you. So, thank you for joining. And I'm here not alone. So I'm here together with Morten. So Morten, can you say hi and introduce yourself real
Yeah,
quick?
sure. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here live on Ignite with Christian Brinkhoff. My name is Morten Pithold, and I work as a cloud architect at Apento in Denmark. And I've been working as a consultant for the past 8 years with modern management. And I have driven my focus over to the virtual desktops in Microsoft Cloud, meaning that I work a lot with Azure Virtual Desktops and Windows 365. And besides that, I'm also lucky enough to be a Microsoft MVP in Windows 365. It's great to be here. So,
So thank
Christian,
you, Morten. So I'm Christian Brinkhoff. I'm one of the Windows 365 program managers here in Redmond working for the product. And I'm very pleased here to share what Windows 365 is with you and some more information around new releases we just did. So stay tuned. And before I'm handing over to the next section of this presentation is all about learning. The title is as well Managed Cloud PCs and Virtual Desktops, and it's a learning course, Microsoft Learning course as well, that we released as well this week, all available publicly online that you can find at aak.ms/mslearn W365. You can also scan this QR code. And what I really wanted to say with that is that we are here for you. So we are here for you to learn. So therefore, there's an interactive model where you can just ask questions live to us, to me, to Morten, as well as to the moderator that we have here, which is Sarah. And Sarah is on the call here to answer all your questions while we are chatting, but we are here as well to answer questions live. So don't be like shy. Just point out questions that you think are relevant for you, for your business, for your implementation, or just general questions around the service, because we are here to help. And as I just said already, we have the Learn model available online right now. So you can just look that up, find the link that I just shared, or this QR code, and you can use it as well to share it with colleagues or just use it as follow-up learning material, because as part of this presentation, you will learn a bunch, but most likely you will need more knowledge or you want to follow up on knowledge you learn. And this learning course is exactly what you need for that. So please give it a look after this session or share it with your colleagues. And also, if you are active on social media or something similar, feel free to share some of the content there as well that we are presenting here together, because we are here for you as well as for the community. So Morten, can you share a little bit of the learning objectives that we have as part of this session for the audience?
yeah, sure. So, throughout this session, we will go through one of the first following learning objects, or more of them, all of them, actually. So, we will go through describing the difference between Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365, configure a Windows 365 Cloud PC using Endpoint Manager Admin Center, create a provisioning policy to deploy a Windows 365 Cloud PC, and last but not least, how to reprovision and resize Windows 365 Cloud PCs. So these are four elements that we will go throughout these sessions. So Christian, maybe you can kick this one off and tell us what benefit we will get from cloud computing.
Yeah, thanks, Morten. So let's start with an introduction around Windows 365 as well as Azure Virtual Desktop. So first of all, Microsoft provides different ways of doing virtualization as part of different products we have, as well as providing Windows from different device options that you have as part of the Microsoft portfolio. So what you see on the screen here is how we provide Windows, and then specifically Windows 11, on any device per specific use case. So of course, we support Windows 11 on a physical PC or a tablet. As you know of yourself, Windows has been around for like more than 30 years, and always has been running on a physical device. With Windows 365, we have a new category, Cloud PC, which introduced a Cloud PC, a physical PC within the cloud. Let's say it like that. So we call it also personal cloud computing. So with the same experience you have on a physical PC, however, with the dynamic scalability and the options that you have coming directly from the Microsoft clouds. So we do that with two products, and Cloud VDI is really what we do with Azure Virtual Desktop. So that means that you still need to require a certain amount of knowledge in terms of virtualization, VDI in your company to create Azure Virtual Desktop and create VDI virtual desktops in Azure for your business. With Windows 365 Cloud PC, we take one step further, moving from Cloud VDI to a more SaaS, completely SaaS end-to-end offering that you can use without the knowledge for VDI. So it's very easy, very straightforward, and as well completely like blending and integrated with Windows, with features that we just announced, like with the Windows 365 app, as well as with Switch and Boot that are coming soon as well. So you see different options here. So if you are a business and you are looking for moving your existing VDI solution, whether it's RDS or any other technology that you use on premises, then Cloud VDI is a very good fit for you to move workloads to the cloud and simplify the management layer of your existing VDI solution. If you want to take it a step further and go completely SaaS, so completely like as easy as it is in enabling a mailbox of Exchange Online in comparison to Exchange on premises, you can go for Cloud PC. So it's completely streamlined and it brings you an end-to-end solution. So the whole automation is happening via Microsoft, and the Microsoft, let's say that the Windows VMs are running in a Microsoft managed environment. So you don't have to maintain or do everything with that, where Azure Virtual Desktop still requires to spin up Azure subscriptions and do maintenance on those VMs. With Windows 365, we will do that for you, while you are still in charge of the IT operations and application delivery and security and policy settings that you're familiar with, but on a physical PC too. So shifting a little bit forward, so what are the scenarios that we cover with Azure Virtual Desktop and as well with Windows 365? So if you're active in the virtualization space, those scenarios are most likely not really new to you. So a lot of those scenarios are resonating with you as well, similar as what Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop delivers on a virtualization layer from a protocol perspective. However, how to get there and the capabilities you have as a technology itself are limitless and as well way more dynamic with like the power of the Azure computer, the Azure compute behind the covers. So think about data security. Government spaces, highly regulated, like security regulated spaces, require that you use a virtualization technology, because when you log off, there's no data left behind on the endpoint. Something we can easily do with Azure Virtual Desktop and with Windows 365 even easier. So one of the things that we just announced during Ignite is government support for Windows 365 as well. So great fit there for your business. If you are in that space active, Windows 365 can help you now today as well, just like Azure Virtual Desktop could have done as well already before that. High capacity computing really sits in, hey, we have licenses for you that you can use to spin up a VM with Windows 365. It gives you that extra level of capacity that you need to be productive, stay productive, and use it for a certain time to just do some work on a more beefier, like more powerful machine, and then assign a lower license to that user or a group of users, and then you no longer have to use that license. So you're very flexible. So if you need more high capacity computing, you can use that. If you don't, you can just scale that license down and resize a Cloud PC. And with Azure Virtual Desktop, you can do the same thing as well, choosing one of the VM SKU sizes that we offer from Azure as well. So bring your own PC, very important these days with chip shortages, hardware limitations to deliver from vendors. We see more and more customers moving to bring your own PC or bring your own device, also known as that term. So you can use your own like laptop or desktop to connect to either Azure Virtual Desktop or Windows 365. And with the new Windows 365 app, if you're more interested in that solution, we now have a native like application experience that you can use on Windows 11. So I have a demo on that later on as well. So if you're interested in that, please hang on, and I will explain you all the details of that in just a couple of more slides to go. So disaster recovery, very important for large enterprises. It's all supported within Azure for Desktop on the Azure platform, where you need to configure things more yourself in terms of replicating VMs and data. However, it is supported in the Azure platform. With Windows 365, we have as well capabilities integrated inside the platform, where you can restore a Cloud PC with snapshots that we take every 6 or 7 days, multiple times a day, in terms of snapshotting automatically. You can restore to a certain point in time back to the state that you were like 3 days ago. So very safe, and we are working on moving Cloud PCs to different regions, and potentially as well restore that snapshot in a different region. And taking a step further, we are thinking about making like disaster recovery options to certain other geos available as part of the service as well. Temporary workforces and mergers and acquisitions are one thing that is probably, in terms of the simplicity of Windows 365, the number one use case. So due to COVID and other situations that happened over the last 2-3 years, some companies lowered the amount of employees in their business, and they are starting to ramp up again. And with the hardware shortages these days across the planet, Windows 365 can easily spin up a Cloud PC in the cloud for a fixed price per month and use your corporate data access and as well internet access or backend access for your data and applications easily. So we see a very good fit for Windows 365 in market for that, and we see that as well in the data and as well the adoption of the platform. So mergers, acquisitions, very important. With freelancers, think about 1 user or 2 users in your business, or a small business of 10 users or 15 users. You most likely are like interested in maybe using a hybrid remote working technology like Azure Virtual Desktop or Windows 365, but you don't want to invest in that virtualization knowledge that you need in order to spin it up and maintain that. So you can either leverage a partner for that, or you can go directly to Windows 365, because assigning a license in Windows 365 is just as easy as enabling a mailbox in Office 365. And Morten will explain you more on that in a couple of next slides in a live demo as well, how you can spin up Windows 365 Cloud PCs as easy as just maintaining physical PCs as well. And the Microsoft Endpoint Manager that just got renamed to Microsoft Intune as a new name for that product. So I hear you thinking, like, what are the exact differences between Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365? We hear that more from customers, like, hey, what are the differences? When do I need to pick which solution? So there's no straight answer for that. But it really sits in, hey, what do you have today and where do you want to be in the future? And do you want to take steps in between to only do minor changes while still moving to the cloud? So for example, Windows 365, as I said before, is a complete SaaS offering. It's a software as a service offering, meaning that it is as easy as like enabling a mailbox with Exchange Online, or going from an on-premises application to a web app, a SaaS application. So think about that same experience and service level agreement offering, level of service that we do constantly, and shipping new features to customers that are required for a software as a service solution, of course, too. That's one thing. Azure Virtual Desktop is a cloud VDI technology that more sits into the, let's say, platform as a service offering that you can do from a Azure environment, Azure subscription, where you can spin up VMs, leverage the Azure Virtual Desktop service to do everything in terms of brokering, gateway, all the services that you're familiar with RDS and other technologies as well in market. Those are all like built as a service, as a platform service in Azure that you can leverage as well. So coming from an on-premises VDI technology like RDS as an example here, that really simplifies a large set of your workload going from on-premises to the cloud. Windows 365 does like that whole control plane as well as the whole infrastructure around it. So think about the subscription, but as well the VM. So we have certain licenses that you can purchase. So you can purchase like 2 core 4 gig of RAM, or 2 core 8 gig of RAM, or 4 core 16 gig of RAM, or 8 core 32 gig of RAM. And then you can just easily select it, and we will make sure that the performance is right on the background, because we tested all those VM sizes and configurations like multiple times before we ship those to customers. It's a different way of experiencing both the IT admin as well as the IT user, as well as the user experience. So looking a little bit deeper into that, so Windows 365 is a personal Windows experience offering by Microsoft as part of the SaaS offering, meaning that it's a one-to-one cloud PC virtual machine that we present to the user, meaning that you as the user are the owner of that. So you get the full resources and performance coming from that cloud PC from the Microsoft clouds. So it's very good for ensuring that your performance stays consistent for your business and for your applications. Onboarding and offboarding is very easy. So as I said before, it's SaaS. You just purchase a license, just as you do for Office 365 in the admin.microsoft.com portal. You assign a license to a user or to an Azure AD group. And then after that, everything just works automatically for the business product. And for the enterprise product, you still need to use a so-called provisioning policy as a one-time action. But if you're done with that, you just can add users inside that group that have a license, and then Cloud PCs just light up automatically. So very easy for an HR person, for example, to just add a user inside that group or via ServiceNow or other tooling that you have in your business. And then Cloud PCs are ready before that user starts to work on his first workday. So also very key for Windows 365 is that knowledge level. So of course, we all like to learn new things, but making things a little bit easier is always better for the overall picture, to make more or better choices when solutions fit for a business, when they don't have the knowledge around like VDI or other infrastructure solutions moving to Azure. So with Windows 365, we promise you that you can spin up a cloud PC for both the business and enterprise product with the same knowledge you have with Microsoft Intune, or previously known as Microsoft Endpoint Manager. With the resize feature in Windows 365, you can easily purchase licenses, fixed price for that license, the cores and RAM that I just presented to you, and as well the hard disk space that we offer per license. But you can as well resize, so going up in terms of going to more cores and more RAM. That's as easy as just flipping a switch in Intune. A reboot will happen, and that user has that extra power. So it's very easy. You don't have to test things or spin up VMs and do all those things yourself. So as I said before, very much in that SaaS offering that we do with Windows 365. Azure Virtual Desktop sits more in the, as I said before, cloud VDI offering, where VDI knowledge is still required. So if you're an existing VDI customer on premises, whether you're using Citrix, VMware, RDS, you can leverage that same technology with that same partner as well on top of Azure. And there are also opportunities there to use Azure Stack to connect to on-premises. Windows 365 is all cloud-based, fully cloud, fully Azure AD, as well as hybrid Azure AD. So you really need to decide for which product you go, where you are in the journey, and whether you want to go full cloud SaaS and simple and very highly scalable, and really bringing that Windows experience, personal Windows experience. And Windows 365 is a great fit for your business. Azure Virtual Desktop, if you are really want to be more flexible and doing different configuration options, bringing in profile management solutions and all kinds of things that you're familiar with VDI technology, then Azure Virtual Desktop is a good fit as well. And one more thing before I move to the next slide is remote apps. So publishing applications is currently not supported with Windows 365. So Azure Virtual Desktop is the better pick for that if you are using it inside your company, and merging that to a cloud environment could be possible with Azure Virtual Desktop. So moving forward to a little bit more of a deep dive into, hey, what are the principles of Windows 365? Because let's say the broader subject of this session is around Windows 365. So as I said before, Windows 365 is a complete SaaS service coming from Microsoft as part of Microsoft 365 offerings, where we blend with Intune, Edge, all those Office apps that we offer as well, coming from SaaS. We are tightly, needlessly integrated with those solutions. So out of the box images, for example, work with OneDrive, Edge auto signs in, all those things that you normally have to do yourself as an IT admin, we remove that. And the reason why we do that is that we designed this service, we designed and still design this service and new features with two key principles that you see on the screen here. So loved by users means we take an extra step on generating turnkey user experiences as part of Windows 365 that really do hand-holding for a user that are like so differentiated with other technologies that only Microsoft can do. And I can chime a little bit deeper into that once I'm explaining the new Windows 365 app for Windows 11 with you. But one example is if you download the app from the Microsoft Store on Windows today that is now available, it's auto signs in, it works with single sign-on inside the app. We show a great first-one experience to the end user. And all those things are really to have us like scoring a 10, like a 10 plus like rate. And that's what we strive and drive for as a team. And that's a great example. And with Windows 365 Switch and Boot, where we don't really deeply talk about today, we are taking that step even further with integrating directly inside the Windows shell. So that's something you will see soon. And most likely, if you watched Scott Manchester's and Panos Panay's keynote earlier today, you've been seeing snippets of that. So really loved by users is one of our principles. The other one is trusted by IT, meaning that we are really designing our platform, our backend services in a way that we remove the friction for IT admins as well, and using different consoles and portals and different solutions side by side. We all built Windows 365 completely inside the Microsoft Intune portal, or also previously known as the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. And from there, you can do everything: provisioning a cloud PC, maintaining, policy settings, security settings, everything can be done there. And for the Windows 365 business product, Enterprise is Intune, Business is separated from Intune. However, you can enroll as well business cloud PCs in Intune if you would like. We took it even further in terms of loved by users and trusted by IT, because the Windows 365 business product, if you only purchase and assign a license to a user, you're ready to go. So that user can just log on from any device, any platform that we support, to their cloud PC as well. So taking a step further in terms of showing this experience to you, I want to show a demo real quick of the new Windows 365 app. So let me share my screen with you and walk you through how we develop new client experiences. So as I said, loved by users, very important for this product. And the Windows 365 app is a great example of that we just shipped yesterday publicly in the Microsoft Store on Windows, as you can see here on the screen. So today in the Microsoft Store, if you are already on Windows 11, which we hope, of course, that you are already on board and are seeing the value of this new hybrid remote working operating system, you can just search for Windows 365. And if you do that, you will find this app. And if you click on this app, you can easily just download this application and install it. And then it gives you the hand-holding experience that I just explained to you already. So this is now available for you and ready to go. And if you're going through this, you can really see the value of the application and as well the Windows 365 service that allows you to directly from the application to restart, rename, restore, and as well troubleshoot your client to connect to the Windows 365 service. So in the next slide that I would like to show to you, I would like to present a little bit more details regarding the client app and as well outlining what the value of the client app is for you as a user, because whether you're an IT admin or a user, this is the experience that you would have as well as part of connecting to your cloud PC. So as I said, the Windows 365 app is available in the store. You can just grab it right now. Just go to the store, click and type in Windows 365 app, and it's there for you. And here you see the key value of that app showing directly from the start menu, the cloud PC that you have assigned to you. But if you click on the 3 digits on the side in that application, you can restart, restore, rename, troubleshoot, and get information directly from your cloud PC inside the application. So for existing customers of Windows 365, they've already experiencing this in the web portal. However, now it's available from Windows. So what does that mean? You get all the benefits of the remote desktop application that we currently support too, with the experience of the web portal, meaning that Teams optimizations, device redirection, USB port redirection, multimedia redirection, where we offload video traffic to the endpoint, is all supported out of the box as part of this app as well. So that's a key value of delivering that loved by users vision and principle that we have, creating new features and new products as part of Windows 365 shipping into market. So Morten, can you explain a little bit more about the two product versions we have, Windows 365 Business and Enterprise, and how you as a Microsoft MVP have been experienced it in the field as well?
Yeah, sure, I can. So before we even get started setting up our Windows 365 environment, we have to explore the two different options available today. So that is Windows 365 Business and Windows 365 Enterprise. And let's start out with the business model. So the business model is surrounded about simple solutions for smaller companies for up to 300 seats. And the requirements for running a cloud PC in the business model is really simplified because there's no requirement for Active Directory or any Azure resource to be running. It is really so simple that companies with low or non-IT staff can still utilize the power of having virtual desktops in the cloud. And if we go down to the enterprise model, it's a bit more, I would not say complicated, but you have more options to choose from. So if you have a requirement for custom images, or you want to have your users accessing your on-premise resources, the Enterprise Edition will be the way to go. And the Enterprise Editions also enables your Cloud PC to function just like your physical devices inside Endpoint Manager, where you can utilize all the current configuration. And this is very powerful. And I have set this up for a couple of customers that thinks this is really helpful for them to have one management pane to manage both virtual desktops and physical device. And this really streamlines this simplifying their IT throughout the whole organization, from the IT services to the IT operator and to the IT architect. So now we have explored the two different options with the business and enterprise, and we are actually ready to set it up with a demo. But before we're doing that, let's go a deeper dive with the Azure Virtual Desktop part. Christian, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Morten. Great information. And right now we can take a little bit like a closer look at Azure Virtual Desktop. But before I do that, real quick, there are some questions in the chat here that are really interesting and good questions. So first of all, thanks for showing those questions and real interest in both services and asking good questions above all as well. So here's a question: hey, what about Windows 365 multi-session? Is that something that will come, or are you considering doing that? So I can chime in there real quick. So Windows 365 is a cloud PC offering. It's a new category in Windows. Microsoft has never done that before, creating a category next to the PC that is called Cloud PC. That's a amazing thing that happened and carries a lot of responsibilities. And what I mean with that is the loved by users experience sits in that, as well as trusted by IT, of course. But the personal Windows experience that we offer with Windows 365, that dedicated experience, like you are the owner of that PC. You have the same capabilities that you normally have with Windows, with installing applications and doing things in Windows with the same experience as Windows on a physical PC. That personal Windows experience is very important for Windows 365. And multi-session provides the benefit of having multiple users on one virtual machine. However, the user experience and the performance inflections that could happen because you have multiple users on one virtual machine could influence the performance and as well the capabilities of the other user on that same virtual machine. And the same for installing applications and doing things more flexible as a user that you have when you have a personal VM, a personal cloud PC, versus a multi-user operating system. So currently we don't have plans to support Windows 10 or Windows 11 multi-session with Windows 365. However, we do understand the need for potentially being more flexible with licensing offerings with Windows 365. So we just announced, such as just in the keynote of Ignite yesterday, an announcement around Windows 365 for shift workers. So we will share more information with you on that, but with that, you can share a license with multiple users as well. That lowers down the same price of your license for just a normal Windows 365 license. So we will not cover that today, but definitely pay attention to what's new in Windows 365 on the Microsoft Learn page as well to learn more on that in the near-term future. So moving a little bit further along into the topic and as well the content of today, what is Azure Virtual Desktop? I already alluded to it, so I'll probably go over this a little bit quicker. So instead of deploying Windows to clients or cloud PCs, Windows in the cloud and deploying a cloud PC in a Microsoft managed SaaS offering, with Azure Virtual Desktop, you deploy Windows as virtual sessions directly in your Azure subscription. So you still have VMs, you see VMs, you need to spin up VMs, you need to maintain benchmark testing, monitor them separately. All these things are your control, and that's why Azure Virtual Desktop is a great solution for you if you just want to move from VDI or RDS on premises to the cloud and take that layer of control plane, that infrastructure part of your RDS or virtualization technology to Azure, and then be flexible with VM and IaaS, like infrastructure as a service. You can still maintain everything sort of as the hypervisor layer that we offer with IaaS on Azure, and do all the edits and things that you normally can do with a VDI technology as well. So that's pretty much what you should remember what Azure Virtual Desktop is, together with full desktop multi-session support, as well as remote apps where you can publish only an application instead of a full desktop. That's also something that Windows 365 doesn't support and Azure Virtual Desktop can support. So think about image management, creating a golden image, a master image, or use Azure Image Gallery or other technologies for that. You can use Azure Virtual Desktop for maintaining that same process that you do, that automation process for creating virtual machines, and do user management and policies and specific scaling management options that you can do with power management and such, more flexible. That's what Azure Virtual Desktop definitely offers in a greatest, like, kind of flexible offering that Azure Virtual Desktop does on top of Azure, where Windows 365 is really that fixed price licensing offering, very simple. You know what to pay for, so it's very predictable, and it brings end-to-end everything from Microsoft Intune together, from provisioning, policy management, application delivery, as well as EA, endpoint analytics, proactive recommendations, everything that you're familiar with as a modern desktop admin that this course is all about. Windows 365 tightly integrates with that as well. So please remember that. And with that, I'm very excited about showing you as well how the product works from the IT admin experience when I just explained the client experience to you as well. So Morten, can you explain a little bit how people can configure Windows 365?
Yeah, for sure. So getting started with Windows 365 Enterprise is really easy. It's fully integrated into the Microsoft Intune portal. And when you get started, there are two main things that you should consider. That is, should we set up a dedicated line for a network resource, and how should our cloud PC be configured? So let's start with the network part. So inside the Intune portal, we are able to configure a network. So when we deploy our cloud PCs, users will be able to access their local resources like they used to do on their physical device. To set this up, it will require an Azure subscription where you will have to maintain your own Azure VNet inside of that. And to also set this up as an Intune administrator, you will have to have access into that Azure subscription that contains the Azure VNet. So if you're looking to simplify things a bit more, like I like to do, Well, maintaining Azure VNet is not that much of fun, aren't they? So what we can do is utilize Microsoft Host and Network instead. And by doing this, we're removing the maintaining part of the Azure VNet. And this means when we deploy our Cloud PCs, it will sit on a Microsoft hosted network that Microsoft will take care of. But you might require that users still can access local resources, right? So how do you do that? Well, you have the option to deploy your own VPN solution on top of that. So you have less management of the Azure VNet, but you still have that VNet connection that the users may require. And after you have uh, taking action on your network integration, you will have to configure your provisioning policy. And provisioning policy contains different stuff, such as what kind of operating system should we run, what kind of language should that operating system have, and how do we patch our Cloud PC. So to show how easy it is to set up, let's do it right now. I will jump into the endpoint.microsoft.com portal. And from here, I will go down to devices. And you might be familiar with this if you're already using Microsoft Intune to manage your physical devices today. And under the device, I have a Windows 365 here. And this gives me an overview of my Windows 365 environment, where I can see all my cloud PCs, what status are they in. I can see some of them is in grace period, but I also have a lot of provisioned cloud PCs. Here I can also see what kind of provisioning policy the cloud PC has been deployed in, because you can have multiple provisioning policies. And there can be several reasons for that. Maybe you want to deploy some cloud PCs in West Europe, and maybe you want some cloud PCs in the US, and you will have to create different provisioning policies for that. So to set up the Azure network connection, you will select the Azure network connection up here, and you will be able to create it in here. And here you will have to choose if you want to Azure AD join your devices or hybrid join your devices. If you choose to hybrid join them, then you have to provide information about your Active Directory, such as domain name and the service account the Windows 365 service can use when deploying the cloud PCs. But I like to keep things simple, so I would like to deploy my cloud PCs on a hosted network by Microsoft. So I go into provisioning policies here. I choose create new policy. And the first thing we have to do is choose an awesome name. So let's go with Hello Ignite maybe. And the next step, I have to select my join type. So if you require your Cloud PC to be hybrid joined, you will need to set up that dedicated connection from the Windows 365 service to your own Azure VNet. But I would like to Azure AD join my devices, so I leave this here. And if you haven't already get started by Azure AD join your physical devices, well, this is a really good step to take a look at what it really can do for your device. By Azure AD join your device, you really take the full capabilities out of Microsoft Intune and can utilize this on your devices. So if you haven't get started, take this one as a kickoff to do it. In the network part, I'm able to choose if I want to select the host network or my own network. I will select the host network. And from here, I can select what region I want to deploy my cloud PCs in. And this is really here where the host network comes really neat in. Because if I have to maintain my own virtual network and I want to deploy cloud PCs all around the world, well, guess what? I need to maintain networks all around the world in each data center. But by doing it in a modern way, as I would say, I'm able to utilize all the regions that Azure provides and giving the users the flexibility they want and keep the product and keep the what's it called and keep user productive as fast as possible. So I will choose West Europe because that one is the closest to me. The next thing we have to consider here is how is what kind of image should our cloud PC be born with. So we are able to use a custom image, and some companies might be familiar with that one, but it's a lot of management to maintain that one and keep it up to date. So to simplify things, we're able to use gallery image. And gallery image is something that Microsoft maintains and provides for us. And in here, you can see that we have several images. We have Windows 10 and we have Windows 11. And we have images with OS optimization and we have them with Microsoft 365 apps. So I will go ahead and pick the latest Windows 11 Enterprise with Microsoft 365 apps. So my users have them right after the Cloud PC has been provisioned. In here, we are able to select the operating system language that will be deployed on the Cloud PC alongside with the regional settings. And this is really powerful because then we can now do a localized experience for the users anywhere in the world, giving them a familiar experience just like they have on their physical PCs. And because I'm from Denmark, I sometimes like to keep things in Danish. And another neat feature that's almost just came to Windows 365 is something called Auto Patch. So with Windows Auto Patch, you are able to get your cloud PCs up to date alongside with your Microsoft 365 apps, Microsoft Edge, and Microsoft Teams automatically. So I have already set up Windows Auto Patch in my tenant, so I would just go ahead and enable that one. The last thing we have to do is assign a group. And after the group has been assigned with the users in, we just need to assign the user a license. And this can be done in a couple of ways here. So you can either assign the license directly to the user, or you can use group-based licensing for better management of your licenses. Because I already have a working provisioning policy with my users, I'm not going to add a group design, but let's just create it. And now we're all set. The user just needs a license and the Cloud PC will automatically be created. So that's how easy it is to configure um, uh, things inside your Cloud PC and how should it look like. And if we want to span out to multiple regions, we just create another provisioning policy with another region and we're all set to go. And as you can see up here, we have a couple of different options like user settings, where we can configure restore points. How often should we have restore points so we can restore cloud PCs if something happens? All right. Yeah, and as I said, the user will need a Windows 365 license, and that can be assigned in multiple ways. And in this example, we are assigning it from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and you will at least have the license administrator account to assign the license to that user. Yeah, and I definitely recommend using group-based licensing to simplify the management of the license that you have. So yeah, we just did the demo. So when it comes to management of the Windows 365, if you already have your physical device in Microsoft Intune, you will find that it will all be very familiar. So we have these common actions, right? Restart, synchronize, quick scan, full scan, and we even have two very important actions that are only available for cloud PCs. That is reprovisioning and resize. So reprovisioning a cloud PC means that we will recreate it, meaning that we will delete the old one and create a new one for the user. So make sure to talk to the user and align the time frame for doing that, so you won't lose so the user won't be cut off. So why is this is such a powerful tool? Well, instead of troubleshooting for 9-10 hours on some, I don't know, unknown weird issue that you're having with one cloud PC only, we are now able to just recreate it really fast within minutes and the user is up and running again. So if there should be any reason for the user to, I don't know, maybe their workload has been changed. So they're getting a new application, for example, and now their Cloud PC needs some new hardware specs to be able to run in the application. From the Microsoft Intune, you are able to resize the Cloud PC very easily. And you can both resize the Cloud PC up and down. And this is really helpful to really utilize the scalability of the Cloud PCs. So when it comes to management inside the Cloud PCs, how do we do that? Well, the thing that I really love about this is how simple it are. And you can utilize Microsoft Intune just like you do it with your physical devices, meaning all your configuration policies, all your applications that you have developed for your physical PCs can you utilize on your Cloud PC. So all that work, all that time, all that effort will be reusable for your Cloud PCs. And what if we have some Cloud PC specific that we have to configure? Something that I think about here is, well, because it's a virtual device, we have some other things to think about, right? Such as when the user doing a remote connection up to a virtual desktop, you might know it if you have been running RDS or something like that, or even Azure Virtual Desktop. Well, to start with, the user will have redirected printers and redirected drives with them from the local device up to the Cloud PC. And it's pretty easy to block for these things. You just create a configuration profile just like you would for your physical device and just assign it to an Azure AD group for Cloud PCs only. And one thing I would recommend you do is to take the advantage of device filters. So device filters is a very, very powerful tool and really helps the process being, well, goes a lot smoother, and you don't have to wait for those dynamic groups on the Azure AD group there is. So everything really comes aligned here in the Intune portal, and it really simplifies that you have one management pane for both your virtual devices and your physical devices, and that is pretty neat. So now we have come to an end, and Christian, I think we should do some kind of knowledge check.
Yeah, thanks, Morten, and great explanation of the product and deep dive on, hey, how can you easily but still very comprehensively, like how you explained it, deploy a Cloud PC via Intune portal here. So really, really nice and really good to see as well how you put your Microsoft MVP knowledge and your field knowledge into that and share some more information that is really necessary. So hope that's really learnful and as well helpful for the audience here. And one thing before I jump into the next section, and that's for a knowledge check. So we want to test you. So pay attention here. Is I want to leave something for the rest of the audience here. Is that with Windows 365, Windows and Windows 365 are closer together, are coming closer together, and are closer together. Meaning that we are blending experiences inside the Windows shell, and with Windows 365 switch and boot, for example, which we haven't talked about today, but we will during the technical takeoff event that is happening later this month as well. Take a deeper dive in that, but that's shell integrated experience connecting to your Cloud PC directly from Windows. Like how amazing is that, right? Removing all the friction of clients and everything and just make it part of Windows. And that's kind of the direction you should think about where Windows 365 is already, but is heading at even more in the next upcoming months and years. So I hope that really inspires you. And now it's my turn to ask you a question regarding the content that we delivered. So we want to test your knowledge with a live poll here that you can find at this QR code, or you can go to https:/aka.ms/polls-b. And that brings you up to a poll. And let me read this question for you, and then you can answer it via that link below. So Contoso is interested in deploying Windows as virtual sessions. The company has 150 seats, and it wants a solution that provides ready-to-use cloud PCs with simple management options. It doesn't want any licensing prerequisites or dependencies on Active Directory. Given these requirements, what solution should you propose to Contoso? A, Windows 365 Enterprise. B, Azure Virtual Desktop. C, Windows 365 Business. So normally we have a background like music sound TikTok going on. I will just talk through it right now. So I give you 5 more seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the answer was Windows 365 Business, because that product is even easier than Enterprise, focuses around the small number of licenses, needs, and even more on simplicity. And it's all Azure AD, joined and native, all cloud focused. So hope y'all got it right. So most people got it right. I see it. Awesome. So we did a good job, Morten. People know about the differences in the product. So we have another question, which I would like to share. Same QR or different QR code, but same approach here, or the same link that you see below. So the question is, as the desktop administrator for Luzerne Publishing, Patty Fernandez wants to deploy Windows as virtual sessions rather than deploying Windows to clients. Giving the company limited resources, Patty is looking for virtualization, for a virtualization solution that is flexible but easy and easy to manage. And it doesn't require provisioning and management services, server roles like gateway, connection broker, diagnostic, load balancing, and licensing. So giving these requirements, what should Patty use to deploy Windows as virtual session or sessions, I must say? Okay, so do another TikTok, or you do a background dance, Morten. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the answer to this is Azure Virtual Desktop, because there's an explicit requirement for virtualization, and as well more flexible requirements in terms of moving from an RDS environment or virtualization environment to the cloud. Then Azure Virtual Desktop is most likely the better pick for Patty's environment, and therefore Azure Virtual Desktop is the right answer. So with that, Morten, could you explain a little bit or summarize what we just explained to the audience here to bring it back home and see if we have some questions left that we can live answer?
Yeah. So, I mean, we described the difference between Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows 365. We looked at how we can configure it. We looked at the new Windows 365 app. You have talked, Christian, throughout some of the amazing things that you're currently developing for the service here. And we also talked about the 2 key actions, reprovisioning and resizing. So I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat for the questions right now, but I would like to say at least thank you for joining us. And if you want to catch up at a later point, or tell your coworkers how awesome Windows 365 is, you are able to do it with this Learn module here. So go ahead and scan that QR code, or go ahead and go to aka.ms/mslearnw365, and you will be able to access that module right away. Yeah. So, Christian, can you tell us a little bit about the Learn Live that we have?
Yeah, thanks, Morten. So as you explained, great summary. This is a module that you can follow up with on the screen. So it's now available live free. So just share it with your colleagues or just use it yourself as follow-up knowledge. And with that, we have 6 minutes left, which is great because we can jump in some more questions. So before we do that, here's a list of Learn Live possibilities to follow up on. So what you see here is different capabilities at like Learn Live. It's a different set of resources as well as content that you can use via the link that you see here, ak.ms/learnlive, that you can follow up on separately even from this module. So you can learn about Azure services, Azure Virtual Desktop separately, or other services that you're familiar with and want to just learn more for or prepare for a certificate that you do, like an MD certificate or something else. So with that, let's see what kind of questions we have. So one of the questions that just came in was as well, we just saw the Citrix announcement around Citrix HDX with Windows 365. We are really interested in this, but when should we use the Citrix technology with Windows 365 and when should we not? So there's not a one answer to that question. So let me explain real quick the value of Windows 365 and Citrix HDX high level. But of course, if you want to learn more and drill down to the specifics there, you really should contact your Citrix sales representative or sales engineer or partner that can help you with that. But Citrix HDX really delivers the Citrix HDX protocol on top of the SaaS service which Windows 365 is, meaning that the whole experience we explained today, what more than explained in the walkthrough through the console and the admin setup process and such, that's exactly the same. However, at the end of your deployment of your cloud PCs, you will have to add the Citrix connector agent to it. And the agent will just happen on the background, the installation. You don't have to spin up a VM for that yourself. We made it very easy to do. And then after that, you just need to go through a setup of connecting your tenant to Citrix, to the Citrix cloud, and then you're ready to go. So just based on that same principle we have, loved by users, trusted by IT, this partnership follows the same configuration flow natively plus Citrix. It's all happening in the same console, very simple and straightforward. Then on top of that, of course, the Citrix HDX protocol has 30 years of matureness and as well enhanced granular control policy capabilities like watermarking and such. But on top of that, they support as well third-party identities without federation requirements. So think about Okta, Ping, all those third-party identities are supported with Citrix. So think about that, but as well extra performant like layers on the protocol when you think about GPUs that we are working on to support as well in the near-term future, as well as other client experiences that Citrix can deliver. So for example, you have a Ting client or an own client setup configuration, you can remain using your Citrix workspace apps and such as well.
Yeah.
So long story short, it's really where you want to be in your business and how you want to convert your existing technology. If you use Citrix and Windows 365 is a seamless migration path for you. So really, we really want to challenge you to try it out, use the Citrix product, get familiar with Windows 365 and Citrix and try it out. If you're more interested in native, you can use that as well. The only thing you then need to do is not following the Citrix steps on top of the native deployment. So it's very streamlined and you gain knowledge on both sides if you do so.
Yeah, that's great.
So we have one minute left. So Morten,
one last question. What is the best practice for provisioning cloud PCs for department group versus user license assignment? Well, stick it to a group. Assign that the users to the group and then assign the group to the provisioning policy and keep a group for the license as well. So I used to have one group for provisioning policy and then manage the license for another group. So that will be the short answer. I think that was it, right? I think we're out of time, Christian. So I would just like to say thank you to all for joining us today. And it was a pleasure. We hope that you learned something today. Else check out the Learn Live module that we have.
Hey, thanks, Morten. And I think we're at time here. So really thank you for joining. It was a pleasure. We hope you learned a bunch. And maybe we see you around in the next session or in another event somewhere soon. So thanks for joining and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.